Welcome to Lift Your Story podcast with guest Kenda Felker, Miss Wheelchair Southwestern USA. Hi everyone, I am LaurieAnn. I am that gal from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, and with...
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to our Lift Your Story podcast.
In this episode, we welcome Kenda Felker, and she is Miss Wheelchair Southwestern USA. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Welcome. So Kenda, in your bio, it says you were diagnosed with MS when you were 15 years old.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I guess I was just a normal 15-year-old girl, so I thought, but I was in athletics running for basketball practice, and all of a sudden I just couldn't run. It was like I forgot how to run. And so we went to an orthopedic surgeon, thought it was my knee. And then my eyes kind of started messing up. I could see out of one eye or the other eye, but not both eyes at the same time. It would make it to where there, you know, if I tried to look out of both eyes at the same time, I had like a double vision with one on top of the other. And my mom has MS, and she kind of said, "Oh my goodness, like I'm noticing symptoms." So she took me to her neurologist, and they a zillion tests, and turns out I had MS.
So, as a teenager, particularly, how hard was that for you to deal with?
15-year-old girl with a patch over her eye. I tried to put stickers on it and make it look pretty, and but it was hard at first. But I thought, you know what, I've either got to go with it or just lay down and stop, and I wasn't ready to do that. So I just I was in the process of running for an area officer in FFA because I was really big in FFA, and I just wore my patch and tailored my speech for office around that patch about acceptance, and I won, and I was an area officer in FFA, and I thought, you know what, I can do this, and I just never looked back.
Wow. Awesome. When I was a kid, I had to wear a patch over my eye for like an hour a day because I had a lazy eye. I did it at home though. I didn't do it at school. So, it was a pain, I thought, but I mean, going to school like that had to be hard to do.
It was a little bit, but I mean, I had good friends. I've been born and raised in the country. I went to a little country school, and everybody was just great with it. I mean, it was just Kenda with the patch. That's just what it was. And I never felt, I mean, around my friends, I didn't feel different. I was different, but I'm sure if I were a boy, it would have been cooler because I'd been like a pirate or something like that. But
so when they diagnosed you with MS, what was the next step from there? I mean, I would imagine this was progressive based on what you're saying.
Back then, of course, that was 31 years ago, but back then there wasn't all these medications out. There was basically, that was it. That was the treatment for MS. You had a flare-up, you took steroids. Well, you know what steroids do to you. I mean, I was taking 100 milligram bursts at a time, and not the little 5 milligrams you take when you get something, it was, and so I got really big, and that probably bothered me more than anything was just the weight gain and, the inability to get it off because, of course, I couldn't run and exercise and do all that stuff anymore, but that's just how they dealt with it. So I took steroids or Cytoxin, a form of chemotherapy. And of course that makes you lose your hair and you get big and, that kind of stuff. So that was probably one of the worst parts of the whole process. But I knew I had things I wanted to do. And so I graduated salutatorian at my high school and worked hard and got enough to pay for college, went to college. But I went to Paris Junior College first, and I graduated from there with a 4.0. And so I went on to Texas A&M Commerce, which is a little bigger school. But then I didn't have a scooter. I just had a wheelchair. So just a manual wheelchair. So probably the first 2 years of college, I pushed myself in a manual wheelchair through college. It was great. I was an awfully strong girl, but feel like it taught me a lot of determination, a lot of humility, and I wasn't afraid to ask for help, or I wasn't afraid to try to do it myself either.
You're a junior high school teacher now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And what do you teach?
I teach 8th grade career investigations and 6th grade study skills.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. And you're doing that for what, 16 years? 16 years. Do you still like it?
Love it.
I would think being up in that area, not here like in Dallas, is probably a lot better for teachers than it is here.
Right now, I don't know that it's better for teachers anywhere. This pandemic, it's pretty tough right now. But I just love it. I love my job. I don't know what it would be like to work, because I've worked at this same school since I started. And so I wouldn't know what to say about going to a bigger school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were doing the teaching online? I know my sister was doing that too. She says it's really sometimes frustrating to do that.
Well, we did online, but when this new school year started, we went back into the classroom, and we've been in the classroom ever since.
Yeah.
They pulled our students out for a couple of weeks. I think they're going back in next week, but they did that because of the new.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I saw one of your videos. You mentioned they sometimes call you the demon in a wheelchair.
It's okay. I just tell them, you know what? If we're friends, that's great, but my job is not to be your friend first. My job is to be your teacher. If we're friends too, that's fine. But if not, that's fine too.
Yeah. So they don't like you being strict.
No, because if not, of course, they're obviously all taller than me. Being in my scooter, they're all taller than me, and so I just figure I have to get in my bluff first. I let the rumors float around that Miss Felker runs over you, with her scooter or whatever. And the first thing I tell them is, every rumor you hear about me is true. Just keep that in mind.
It's interesting you say that. I remember when I was in the 10th grade, we had an English teacher. She was right out of college. And we walked in the classroom, man, she was, you're going to do this, you're going to do it. And everybody's like, whoa, golly, But as the year progressed, she was really a fun teacher. And I really enjoyed her class. But that first week was tough.
Start out that way, and it's so funny because I used to work with a guy. He was a coach, Coach McGill, and I mean, he was huge, big, like bodybuilder coach, big guy, and I had to go to the restroom one time. I asked him, he was right next door. I was like, can you watch my class for just a second? I'll be right back. And I came back and he said, your class never said a word. How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, because I tell them on the first day, I said, we don't talk. The only reason you're talking without raising your hand and having precision, the only reason you should be talking is because either you're on fire or the person next to you is on fire and you're trying to tell me that. And if I don't smell smoke, then you should be talking.
That's a good one. I can't believe they listen.
And the minute you hear somebody start to, try to talk something, I'll start going, I don't.
Sniffing, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
My goodness.
And I like you say that you're handy capable. Where there's a wheel, there's a way.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir. I believe in God, and I'm very religious, and that is through God's will. So I kind of just brought that in when I was trying to think of my platform. I thought, you know what? Where there's His will, there's a way, but where there's my scooter wheel, there's also a way for me to get around and do my whatever I need to do.
Do you do any motivational speaking?
No, sir.
Okay, I wonder. I thought maybe since you had the Miss Wheelchair USA, Southwestern USA, you might do some motivational speaking that came with that.
I would love to. I mean, I would love nothing better than to speak to people and, motivate. Hey, listen, it's not over. You still have a lot of life to live. Just because you have modified abilities doesn't mean that you can do whatever anybody else can do.
I think it shatters. I was to say I have a niece who just found out that she has MS. She's 33. She has 2 children, and it really shattered her to hear that. And it is progressive, but they do have, unlike you 30 years ago, they do have some medication now that can slow it down. But I mean, your attitude is amazing. I think people need to hear more about people like you that say, it's not, I think it's awesome that you have that. I knew I had things that I still needed to do. I wasn't going to let this stop me. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's the only choice you have. I mean, you can sit down in your house and say, it's over. I have nothing else to live for. Or you can get up and go and say, you know what? Get thee behind me, Satan. I've got business to do. And I just had a brand new grandbaby. So listen, I'm not stopping.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. And your husband must be a really awesome guy.
Absolutely. He's such a turd sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, because I know I saw your videos, and my friend Jody, who gave you our information.
Oh yeah.
And she was saying that you guys even go dancing.
Absolutely, we sure do. Absolutely, he just picks me up, takes me out in the middle of the floor, and we dance. People can dance around us, or they can sit back down. We don't care. Yeah, he'll pick me up and spin me around, and we love it. We love it.
Yeah. So, and the fact that, I mean, he's always there for you. I saw in your videos he was there, and I mean, of course, in my opinion, that's what the husband should do. But to see that and to see how happy y'all are, he's a pretty good guy. I'm saying
He is a good guy. I will say that he's a good guy.
Is he a country boy too?
Well, actually, he wasn't. He's from Fort Worth. That's where he's born. Grew up down there, the city folk in Fort Worth. But he moved out to the country. So now I will say he's a country boy.
Was he a cowboy before he got there?
He was a more of the outlaw, truck driving, motorcycle riding guy, and that's kind of how we met. On the back of a motorcycle, he took me for a ride, and we never looked back.
I was going to ask that, how you met. That's kind of fun.
We met a lie. His uncle told me he was going to help me go to a rodeo, and he just got me off the truck. He said, "Oh, come have coffee with me." He's like, "I'm tired." He's like, "No, come up here. I want you to meet somebody." He's like, "No, I'm tired." He's like, "Okay, fine. Just come up here and have coffee with me." She's not here. Well, I was there, and then all of a sudden his uncle got sick and couldn't help me go to the rodeo. So he asked, "James, can you help Kenda go to the rodeo?" And we've been together ever since.
That's funny because when I was in the 9th grade, I had a motorcycle, and I moved over into this neighborhood, and I was driving around, and my cousin lived on this one street, and I saw her out with a bunch of people. So I stopped and was talking to everybody. We just moved in, and this girl asked me, said, "Would you take me for a ride on your motorcycle?" I go, "Well, I've got somewhere to go, but I'll just take you around the neighborhood once." It's okay. Well, that was when I was in the 9th grade. Then when I was a senior in high school, I started dating her, and then we got married when she graduated a couple of years later. And we've been married a couple of years. So.
Amazing. I love those stories.
Yeah, well, something else on one of your videos, Kenda, you were talking about, I think it was in Paris, not having handicapped parking spaces, or not enough handicapped parking spaces. Now, are you working to try to change that?
I did.
Okay.
They reached the downtown area around our square, and they put in like a makeshift parking space. They like it wasn't legal or anything. It was just a regular parking space that they stuck a sign up there. Well, there was also a porta potty right in the middle of it. So, because we like to go downtown, and there's lots of good restaurants and stuff down there, just pretty. And we went to eat, and I don't see any parking space to park at. I said, so we drove one night. I know that they thought we were casing down to rob somebody, but we drove 2 blocks in every direction, counted every parking space because we wanted to see. There were 260 spaces, and then that one illegal parking space. I'm like, what is going on here? So I talked to the Chamber of Commerce, and they're like, well, we fired the person who reconfigured here anyway, so they're no longer here. And so then I went to the city council, and I said, and they were like, we had no idea. We didn't even realize this. And I don't fault you for not realizing it. If you don't have to use one, then you're not even looking for them. I understand that. But I'm telling you now that this is a problem. Well, nothing still happened. So I started calling news stations. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm Miss Wheelchair Southwestern USA. We have a problem here. Can you help me out? And so I was on 6 channels, 1 out of Lubbock, 3 out of Dallas, Fort Worth, 1 out of Sherman, 1 out of Tyler. Yeah. And I just told my story. Next thing you know, there are 4 brand new handicap parking space on every corner of downtown.
Yeah. I've never been to Paris. I need to go sometime. But those handicapped spaces, my wife's parents got where they were. My mother-in-law was on a walker, and my father-in-law had a hard time walking distances. And we used to meet them at a place every week for dinner, and invariably they had like 4 or 5 handicapped places, but they were always full. And we'd pull up there, and then somebody would pull in one of those spaces. They would get out, walk in a restaurant. Now, they had a handicap placard. And I'm sure they had a family member that they needed that to take them to the doctor or whatever. But, they didn't, in my opinion, they shouldn't have parked there. My wife had a handicap placard because she took her parents, but she put it in her console. She never used it unless they were there with her. We didn't take advantage of it. And that used to always just kind of really bother both of us that, people were that inconsiderate.
In Canada, if you do that, if you don't have somebody with a handicap in the car and you have one of those and you use it, it's a $5,000 fine.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
That might stop that.
Yeah.
Wow, and people just don't think, oh, I'm just gonna run there for a minute. Well, that may be the minute that somebody who really does need it is there, but you don't have to use it. You really don't even think about it,
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't really that aware of it until my in-laws started really needing it. Then I thought, wow, think of all the people that pull up here that really need a space and they can't get here, and they've got to park way at the very back of the parking lot and struggle to get, where they're going, and then struggle to get all the way back.
And there's another struggle too, because quite often, like with my father, he had 3 strokes, so his mobility is slow. But he needs the door wide open. And the night, in the handicap, obviously there's more room specifically for that. If I don't, sometimes I've forgotten to take the handicap, and so we park in a normal one. But you notice then how difficult it is, because the parking spots are also narrow to begin with, to get out of your car. So that's another big issue that people don't understand, that they need that space for the doors.
Yeah.
So,
there where the curb is, when you've got a handicap spot, there's a slab there,
Yeah.
but people will park like where you have to go in where there's not a curb. People will park right in front of that, and you're like, you're gonna have to move so we can get by, parked in front, I can't hop this curb.
Yeah.
I haven't got to make my scooter hop yet. So, but it's like you say, it's just thinking, it doesn't affect you, so you really don't think about it.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate, but of course, I was in construction, and the ADA, they're really making the restrooms accessible, where you can go in the toilet, you can go in the sink, the curbs where, like you say, you can go up the wheelchair and not have to try to hop a 6-inch curb or have somebody pull you up, and I mean, I know all around here, they're always at all these corners taking those rounded corners out and putting them where they're accessible, so
right.
There's been a lot of strides made in the last 30 years towards that.
That's my next goal with Paris, with downtown. It's an old, it's old, and so the buildings are not really accessible. They'll have, the big steps. I can't even get into a lot of the shops and stuff because, I mean, it's just a big curb step to get in it, and so that's my next goal, is to try to make the building more accessible to get into, even if you just have to make a little ramp to get up in there. That, that shouldn't be that big of a burden on you. Just need a little ramp so somebody can get into your store.
Yeah. So, Kenda, what advice would you give to people?
People, as in handicapable people?
Yes.
Well, my big thing is don't stop. I mean, don't let your modified abilities scare you off living your dream, living your best life, because God only gives his biggest battles to his strongest warriors. So you have to warrior on. And I've done things that I probably, well, my husband always says, if your legs did work, then I'd be dead, because I mean, we go sing karaoke, we do whatever. And he is excellent about helping me to find a way to do it, my next thing, and he probably knows, I don't know if he does or not, but he's listening now, he will now. My next thing I want to do is go skydiving. I don't know how I'm going to do it, how I'm going to land, because I don't have any legs to land on, but that's my next thing. That's what I want to do. I just, yes, I look different than you, I do it different than you, but I can still do it. Okay. Don't assume that's my thing. People just assume my coworkers just said, I was scared when I started working with you because I didn't know what you could do. They don't first assume what I can't do. Yeah. Assume that I can do it, and then if I need help, I'll ask for help, So.
Well, you do know that skydiving requires jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, right?
I know, but
on purpose.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Oh, it's just not for me.
I know, but just the thrill of it, the rush of it. Come on.
Well, it's funny because I just saw a show on Patrick Swayze, and they were saying that he really at first didn't want to do it, but once he did it, he said he was going out every morning before the shoot to do it, and they had to stop him because the directors were afraid he might not be able to finish the movie.
Get hurt, yeah.
But yeah, he fell in love with it. So that's very cool.
And I just love it. I just want to live life just like everybody else.
Yeah. That really says a lot.
Definitely.
It does. LaurieAnn, do you have anything else?
I do at this time. I love this. It's very inspiring. It's all in the attitude and not to stop, and that,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I want my passion, my students, and I want, junior high kids are harsh. They're rough. They will tell you how it is, just exactly how it is. But I want them to see, just because somebody's different, don't exclude them, and they have been fabulous. I mean, the kids have heart. They're not, it's just different. It is. I want them to see that it's okay to be different. They look at, TV and social media, and I want them to see it's okay to be different.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I'm so glad you were able to come on, because I was really anxious to hear your story, because I think it's inspiring for people to hear your story.
Absolutely.
So we really do appreciate you spending the time with us.
Very sweet and very nice, and I really appreciate it also. If I can help one person, then I feel like I've succeeded. If anybody can see this or hear this or whatever and say, you know what, I can get up off the couch and I can, go dancing or go ride a motorcycle or jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
On purpose.
And not be always looking at the future of, that's, I think the big thing too is, when you hear about it, the thing is, you go, oh my goodness, what's going to happen to me? But I love that you do this, you look at today, I'm going to do this is what I want to do, but you're not looking at as what disabilities am I going to have in that time. It's what abilities am I going to be able to get there to do it. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What do we need to make this happen?
LaurieAnn, do you want to tell Kenda about everything?
I'm just going to stop recording first.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so basically I have this up within 24 to 48 hours on YouTube and on Buzzsprout, which they disseminates it to Spotify, Apple, and all that, so all the different platforms. Then Roy does some clips, and then once all that's done, and my notes take a couple of days longer because they do. Once all that's done, then what I'll do is I will email you with the clips and the links. And if you want to share it with anyone, you're welcome to. So
okay, thank you.
Yep, great.
Thank you. I was going to tell you guys the pageant that I went to this year, Miss Wheelchair USA. This was the first that they recorded it. This is going to be the first season of a brand new docu-series titled "A Different Kind of Crown." I don't know what it's going to be on, like Netflix, Hulu, or whatever. Yeah. But I do know that a docu-series titled A Different Kind of Crown, because they followed us all around throughout the pageant with cameras and everything. So y'all be on the lookout for that.
Okay, great. Love to see it.
Thank y'all so much.
Well, thank you.